Hi there guys, I hope you have had a good day. Now, boy are we excited about Mike Tyson versus Roy Jones Jr. on Triller in November. This is going to be a good fight. It's an exhibition, but it's not going to be an exhibition once it gets going. I guarantee you that, because Roy Jones will hit Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson will get really mad. Then Mike Tyson might hit Roy Jones. Roy Jones is going to go, I'm not having that. So egos will mean it'll be a fight more so than an exhibition. It's dubbed an exhibition, but I can't see that happening between two fighters with the egos that they have. So ultimately, this fight is going to be more entertaining than any other exhibition fight where it's like a laugh to the crowd, a punch here and there, all of that. Nah, not going to be like that. Mike Tyson is looking insane in training. So is Roy Jones Jr. Now, Roy Jones actually looks quite good, especially considering he's getting a bit older now, but he's always stayed in shape and he's been training fighters on his farm. So they both have been continuously training. Roy Jones has probably stayed in better shape over the years than Mike Tyson. So Roy Jones does have that kind of advantage, if you want to call it that. But the one thing about these two, they both have good head movement. They both have a brilliant movement overall. They both are fast as well and powerful. So, what do we expect from this fight? Is it going to be who has the most left? Or is it going to come down to basic skills alone? Because they both move incredibly well, but in different ways. Mike Tyson comes forward, weaving around punches and landing his own. He doesn't get hit all that much considering he comes forward with ferocious speed. That is down to his movement and balance. Roy Jones Jr. is brilliant, the same as Mike Tyson, but in a different way. He goes from defense to attack to defense simultaneously, easy, because his balance enables him to do that, something that you're just born with. You can develop it in certain ways, but Roy Jones, to have it at that kind of level, he's born with that ability. They both have brilliant positioning, brilliant movement and balance, but in different ways. Roy Jones is about going forwards and going backwards. Mike Tyson is about going forwards. Mike Tyson can back up, but you're never going to see Mike Tyson boxing off the back foot. Not like you would see Roy Jones potentially doing that, but Roy Jones would only do that to kind of goad his opponent because he can always land punches. Look at the fight against Montel Griffin, the rematch. He went in there with a fighter who was the world champion and gave him his only pro loss. It was a disqualification, but still, went in there throwing a jab and a lead left hook, knocked him out in the first round. Only Roy Jones could do that. And in a fight with Mike Tyson, he's not going to have that same kind of balance, movement and speed, of course. But neither is Mike Tyson. They're both at the same point. That is what makes this exciting. We don't want to see Roy Jones in there with, say, Beterbiev. We're never going to see that anyway because that's just ridiculous. But we're never going to see that. We're never going to see Mike Tyson versus Anthony Joshua because, again, that's ridiculous. But against one another, two legends at the similar kind of age who've had realistically similar experiences in the ring. Now that is a good fight. That is something that is fair because they both are at the same point of life. So this is going to be entertaining, and I think that this is a positive thing because they're both two fighters who retired but want to come back. They still have that competitive streak in them. So they're going to put that into the ring when they fight one another. Now, of course, they both look brilliant, incredible. They're in brilliant shape. I hope I look like that when I'm their age. But ultimately, it's not just about that. It's not just about aesthetics and how you look. It's about what you still have left. And judging by what I've seen from Mike Tyson, especially on the pads and working with his trainer, he still has a lot to give. And it's all about the mental side of it as well. Many fighters who do try and come back, they realize early into the fight that their timing, their distance, their positioning, even balance is just not what it was. But that's not down to their body failing them. That's down to their mind thinking those things and having negative thoughts. I don't think Mike Tyson or Roy Jones is capable of doing that because their ego alone won't allow that to happen. Now, the thing is, again, about fighters who try and come back. They are fighters who are 10, 20, maybe even 30 in this case, past their prime. But the problem is when a fighter like that goes back into the ring, they try and fight exactly the same way as they did when they were in their prime. But they can no longer do that. Their bodies won't allow them to. So they need to adjust their way of thinking, change the way they fight, because Oscar De La Hoya, he's looking to make a comeback now. But if he goes in there and tries and fights the same way that he did during his prime, it won't work. He needs to fight a different way. Take Roy Jones as a prime example. During his early career, he could avoid shots at will, move in and out of range effortlessly. No one was better at that than him. His reflexes were incredible, but later on in his career, he couldn't move as well. His reflexes started to fail him. His balance and movement wasn't the same as what it was. And he still tried to fight the same way, arms down, trying to avoid punches. But he was getting caught with punches because he was keeping his hands down, trying to fight as he did 10 years previous. Now, if he would have gone in there with his hands up and weaved around shots and moved laterally, then maybe he wouldn't have gotten caught with the same kind of punches, because he wasn't working off of reflexes, he was working off of timing. So that is one thing you can adjust when you go back in there if you haven't been in the ring for 10, 15 years, because then you are catching shots on the gloves. You are making sure that you are moving laterally and anticipating those kind of punches. If you are just putting your gloves down and waiting for the punches to come and relying solely on your reflexes, at that age, it's not going to work. We saw that with Roy Jones, but if he had adjusted his style, then he might have been able to do better when he was in the ring with fighters who were 5 to 10 years younger than him, who still have those kind of reflexes, because Roy Jones now can't just leap in and out of range with a lead left hook or anything like that. He needs to set things up with the jab. Roy Jones's style was never one that was going to age well anyway, because all of the things that he needs, they do diminish as you get older, or not even get older, but as you go through your career and take punishment, get stopped, move up to heavyweight and drop straight back down to light heavyweight within 6 months. That takes a huge toll on the body, because he's going up in weight, then coming back down, but not just coming back down, making weight as well, dehydrating, and that weight loss process leading up to the weigh-in. That's never good for a fighter. So ultimately, his body has sustained a lot of punishment over the 50 fights that he has had. And it's not just about that, it's the weight making process as well, going up and down in weights, stuff like that. That does take a toll on the body after a number of years. But still, there is plenty in the tank of both of these fighters to give us an epic fight on 28th of November, when they will show down. Two legends collide, with Vidal Riley on the undercard, with also Badu Jack on the undercard, and YouTuber Jake Paul. Don't really care about that one, but ultimately it's on the undercard anyway, on Triller, which I guess is a new platform, and what a way to launch their new platform with Mike Tyson versus Roy Jones Jr. So they've done incredibly well to get this. This fight is going to be entertaining, and they are both at the same point of their lives and careers, so that's why it makes sense. So guys, anyway, what are your thoughts on this? Roy Jones versus Mike Tyson in November. This is going to be an epic fight, whether it's an exhibition or not. Guys, anyway, drop your thoughts on this in the comments below, leave a thumbs up and subscribe if you are new. Thanks guys.